Good morning. This morning I'm having a look at COS1511, the October-November 2015 exam paper, question number 5. The question says, consider the following C++ code and complete it by filling in the required code. Okay, on the left is obviously their question over here, and on the right here is the code that's been compiled. Okay. Now I just want to cover a few topics that came to mind as I was going through this code. First of all, you've got an int x and an int y. Those are two integer variables that will be passed to this function larger. Okay. This function will return an integer data type, and it actually, in relation to this, it wouldn't matter which variable you pass first, because it actually tests whether x is greater than y. So you could easily almost pass y before x, kind of thing, because it's testing the two values that are being passed. Okay. I'll show you an example later. Just bear with me while I work through here. So then the next function they've got is smaller. It's also got two variables that need to be passed to it, two integer variables, and it will return an integer variable. Okay. So then they've come up with a third one, which is a void get minimax. Sorry, it should have been minimax. Okay, and then in here they've got a integer variable of n, and that is just being passed into this program. As you learned from question number 4, this is a function with a reference variable where it's allowed to change this minimum value, and it'll return the minimum value without you specifying a return like these functions over here. Okay, and that goes for the max value as well. Alright, so what it does is they've declared a new variable int num, and then they ask the user enter how many numbers that they've passed into this function. Enter the number of numbers over here, and then the user will type in their first, second or third number, and they'll hit enter. Okay, then what it does is it sets the minimum, this min value, to whatever the users put in here. Okay, and it'll also set the maximum to the same value. Okay, then they open a new for loop, and they start the for loop with 1. As you know, most of the times they start with 0, but this time it's 1. And then they're saying that it will increment as many times, it'll increment by 1. This is why you got this r++, as many times as the value has been entered in for n, okay, or passed to this function here, n. Okay, so what it does is it asks them to enter a new number for each value of n that they've got, and then it wants you to make a function call. And this is where they've asked us call the larger function and then call the smaller function. So these were missing in the this section over here was missing in the question paper over here, and I've put a number 1 next to it so that you can identify it easily. And the same here with the smaller max thing. So what we're doing is we're passing the number that the user's entering, and we're also passing the max which was set over here. Okay, and then that will return either x or y depending on which is the greater of the two. Okay, and so that will be repeated for however many times the loop is repeated. Okay, then we've got another void function which they use just to display our question to the user. Okay, and then they've got our main function, and in our main function you'll see here they declare an integer variable minimum and set it to 0 or initialize it to 0, and they also do the same with the maximum, and then they've got another integer n which the user is going to enter the numbers over here. So for question 3 they asked us to call the void function, this getInfo function. So this is how we call it. It's got no variables to pass, so we don't have to enter any variables. We just call it with the open and close brackets. Then the user will enter the number over here, and then we've got on this option number 4 over here, we've got to call our mini and max function, which is described over here. And as you can see, there's 3 variables that need to be passed to it, and as you can see here they've also declared 3 variables. So we pass these 3 variables to this, and minimum and maximum should return whatever variable turns out to be the largest or the smallest. Okay, and I've added the return 0. I'm surprised they forgot that, but that's it doesn't matter too much if there isn't a return 0. Alright, so I'm going to execute the code and see if it runs. This is the first time I'm compiling it. Okay, missing my semicolons. As we all know, you don't want to miss your semicolons in C++, otherwise the code will not execute. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is my void call over here, where it's going, this program computes. So how many numbers do I want to enter? I'm gonna, for an example, I'm gonna choose 5. As you can see here, it's saying enter the 5 numbers, and that is coming from this part over here, enter the 5 numbers, because n was set to 5. And as you know, this function was called, it passed the n variable, and the minimum and the maximum are currently 0. So that's why we're getting this part. It wants me to enter the first number, so I'm going to enter number 10. Okay, then it wants me to enter the next ones, so let's go in increments of 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay, so something has gone wrong with my minimum value and my maximum value, because the min should have been set to 10 and the max should have been set to 50. I'm passing a number into there and I'm setting the max value larger, and that because we can't pass n, and the max is the smallest. Sorry, I think when I did my code I just copied and pasted, that's why. I copied and pasted this, and that's the reason why. I should have changed this variable the other way around, and now I should get the desired results. Okay, so let's go again. 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, there we go. Much better result. Shows me my 10 and my 50. Okay, now what I was trying to say is, for this one here, even if I swapped max and num around, it wouldn't matter, because it's busy doing a test versus the minimum and the maximum value. So it does not matter in the order, and this is related to the smaller one and the larger one. What I'll do is I'll leave the min value in its order, and I'll change just the max value so that you can see that it doesn't matter which order this goes in, because it's doing a test on the numbers. And then let's re-execute it. Okay, so I'm going to enter 5 again. I'm going to go in my increments 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. There we go. You see how that still returns the exact same result. The difference though is in this section over here. You cannot change the order of these numbers here, okay, because these are, you're passing first the number of the number that the person is entering, of the numbers that they want to enter, and then you're passing the min and the max. So now if we passed this in the incorrect order, we would never get the n numbers to appear. I'll give an example here. Is I'm going to swap it. I'm going to pass the minimum instead of the n, and then I'm going to pass the maximum value as n, so that you can see for yourself that it'll ask me a question now stating enter 0 set of numbers, or I'm actually going to set minimum to 1 because I don't know if it'll accept a 0. And so that you can see here, I'm going to enter 5 and it's going to show me only 1. So the order, I'm trying to show you that the order matters in this for this question, or for that get mini max. So here's the example. How many numbers do I want to enter? I'm going to say 5, and you can see there it says enter one numbers. So that's because I've swapped the order around and it's in the incorrect order. So if I enter 10 here, you can see the minimum value is 1 and the maximum is 10. Luckily the maximum is still calculated, but it's still incorrect because n should have been the numbers that appeared. Okay, so I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about functions and doesn't confuse you too much. It was just an example to show that with regards to the two integer functions, it didn't matter the order, but the get mini and max does matter because each one represents a different value. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your exam.